Greetings, everyone. Nathan Nerdarchy here from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds, with hanging out some nerds.
Nerdarchy is Ted.
Nerdarchy is Dave.
When 82 pages of spells just aren't enough, Unearthed Arcana starter spells.
Hey, this Unearthed Arcana is sponsored by Armor Class 10. As you can see, we're wearing some awesome gaming shirts. If you would like to own shirts just like the ones the Nerdarchists are wearing today, go down to the description below where you can find the link to Armor Class 10. Check them out. They have a lot of great shirts. And now, let's talk about some new D&D spells.
Indeed. All right, so when I'm looking at page 1, the first thing that jumped out to me is new ritual spells. Now, not all of you out there are excited by that, but as my main character, the one for Dave's game, really cares about ritual spells. I mean, we even homebrewed a feat to allow him access to all of them. I'm totally ecstatic that there's some new options.
Yeah, I think we got. I'm seeing the word ritual 5 times, but I think there might be a little bit of overlap.
Crossover,
yeah. Yeah, so it's like maybe 3 or 4. If we do the maths.
Right.
So, and everybody got spells. No one got left out this time. And, they're thematic. They got some cool names. We see some new mechanics.
Absolutely. There's loads of new mechanics in this.
And we also see the abuse of save or nothing excessively.
Well,
and not in the way I wanted to see it either.
Right. Well, you there's a lot of new cantrips, and if you're looking at wizard cantrips, and let's face it, the wizard is the one who has the most spell casting in the game. Having access to loads more cantrips, I'm not terribly unhappy with having more spells that are save or suck, because you've got a whole bunch of new themes, new mechanics. I'm okay with what's here.
Now, the Cleric actually got the most cantrips out of the lot. Wizard only got 2 of them, and what I would have liked to see, if they were going to get save or nothing, I would have liked to see them be in the invocation school or evocation school, so that you could finally make use of that ability you get at 6th level. It's like there's so little choice there. It's like, okay, I'm going to take this. Like, you have 2 cantrips to choose from. It would have been nice for a little variety there. So let's get into it. One of the questions is who got the most. So obviously it's not going to be the Bard. The Bard didn't get any cantrips. They got a bunch of 1st level spells, but a decent amount, 5. The Cleric also got 5 spells, 3 cantrips, 2 first level spells. Then you have the Druid with 2 and 3, so for 5 as well. We also have the Paladin. The Paladin kind of got boned the most. They got 1 new spell. Ranger busted out 4. And they're pretty fun, so he made out pretty good.
And the Paladin isn't even a unique Paladin spell. It's also a Cleric spell.
Right. And, well, here's the thing, too. Ryan's not here. So, goddamn it, Watts, why did you have to screw the Sorcerer, right? You gave him less than everybody else. They're not even that great. And everybody's so much better than the Sorcerer. This is bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Why do you hate the Sorcerer every time?
Paladin got less than the Sorcerer.
We're not talking about that right now.
Spellcaster. The spellcaster.
The Paladin doesn't even cast spells. They smite.
Yes.
They can't smite.
I could marry you 2, or I could smite this guy.
Extra to the...
Why not both?
Why not both? Smite you and marry you.
The Sorcerer only got 3 spells, and literally the Paladin is the only one that got less. But I also think, I could be wrong, but yes, you know what? I believe it is the Sorcerer that has got the only one that got a unique spell. And literally, they might as well said this is for the Chaos Sorcerer, because we hate you so much. You get this 1 spell,
and it's, in my opinion, one of the best spells in the entire
bunch.
Entire
yeah,
bunch.
It is.
I think it's the funnest spell, the most fun.
And since we were talking all around that particular spell,
Chaos Bolt.
Evocation, and it does have some fun mechanics to it. It's pumpable, it does damage, and has cool random effects that can happen with it. Warlock, they made out pretty good. I believe they got the 2nd most at 6, 2 cantrips, 4 first level spells, which you're a Warlock, so you don't get to cast any spells anyway. They're pretty much useless. But now you have more variety with those spells.
Finally up the last with Wizard, being the most
9, right? Yeah.
2 spells, 7 first level spells, two cantrips, 7 first level spells. Awesome.
And I believe they're the only one that gets access to Toll of Death, right? Or Toll the Dead.
Warlock, and
Warlock
Wizard,
gets it.
Yeah.
Oh, Warlock gets it too. Okay, yeah. Which is it's that one's actually pretty cool because it has a neat flip in the mechanics where you do X amount of damage, unless they're already damaged.
And then it's a D8 if they're healed. Do D12 if they're damaged. So are we going through each spell, or do we want to highlight the things we like the most?
Well, Cause Fear is back from earlier editions where you basically get, now it's a 3rd level spell is Fear, while this is a watered down version
It's
of
like
that.
you're afraid.
Did you know someday you'll die?
What?
That's really scary.
So
So basically, if you have 25 hit points or lower, you can be affected by it.
Oh no!
Oh wait, no, wait. It's
20
make your save with disadvantage, right?
Yeah, it's better
yeah.
if their hit
Yes,
points are down.
that makes sense.
So
So that's
that's
cool
kinda
and thematic.
really good for those low level characters.
Yeah, and it's a first level spell.
I really like this spell, and it's a ritual spell, but it takes wow. It takes an hour to cast it.
I have one more thing about Cause Fear, though. Okay, so for Cause Fear, my only beef with that is the Warlock gets it, and it's a first level spell, and it's not bumpable. And I think you could really change that up just by making it target an extra person every time. It's like 2nd level, 3rd level, because they get eventually every spell's a 5th level spell, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
Actually, it's not a big deal because they probably have Fear on their list, and they could just
it's
switch
like
them
the
out.
upgrade. That's the upgraded version.
Yeah, and they would just switch them out.
Okay.
That is my beef with your beef. Ah!
Oh, beef to beef.
He has solved your problem.
Excellent. And my, I didn't really have a problem. I'm not gonna play Warlock.
Nice. So Ceremony is a ritual spell. Casting time 1 hour. So Ceremony, you get to do a bunch of things with it. Atonement is exactly what it sounds like. You effed up. We're gonna cast a spell and help you fix it.
Bless water.
Blessed water, big deal because this one is like, before it's like, oh, you can make blessed water with 25 gold. It costs 25 gold. But this is like spell component, powdered silver. You can make blessed water. And it doesn't anywhere in here say you consume the spell component, meaning you can make it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes an hour and 10 minutes to do it. So it's not like you're just whipping it out all the time.
Yeah, and I would think a lot of people that are going to be making holy water, they're making it for personal use anyway. So
You have coming age, dedication, funeral rite, investiture,
Mhm.
and marriage. And each one of them has this like little weird benefit you get that lasts for a certain amount of time depending on which one it was.
And I'm looking at it, it's like, all right, why on earth do you need a +2 bonus to your armor class?
because
for your
these
wedding night.
these guys are familiar with Game of Thrones and George R.R. Martin, and they remember the bloody wedding, or like, yeah, or the red wedding, and they're like, yeah.
you need
You need
pluses to armor class.
You need armor class. Everyone came unarmored. You're going to need some help.
And I would think it's more along the lines of you're like looking out for each other kind of thing, and that's the idea.
So, Chaos Bolt, right? First level spell, 120-foot range, nice. It attacks a single target. Know what that means? This means you can twin this. New mechanic, 2 die 8 damage. You pick one of those die 8s. That will determine...
The elemental damage that it does.
well, it's not even elemental. Like
Psychic's on that list.
And so is Force and Poison.
Yeah.
The poison element.
So the damage
By
type
elemental
is
poison.
the damage type is determined by one of the d8s, your choice. If you happen to roll the same number on both dice, number one, you then get to do that damage, but then it's going to bounce to another target, re-roll, which doesn't that mean it's got another chance to just keep bouncing?
It could. And you could twin them, and like if you roll like crazy rolls, like these things could be jumping all over for days. And every time it jumps, it doesn't even have to be the same kind of energy damage, right?
Yeah,
So-
that's right. It
so
can
this-
change colors.
This is kind of fun. This is cool. It really makes me sad that the Chaos Sorcerer doesn't at some point get some ability to manipulate dice a little bit more, because you could be really crazy with this. And again, it's also pumpable. You can add a die 6 extra damage for each slot above first. So
Which is another amusing situation, because usually if a spell does a certain die of damage, the pumpable increases those dice.
Yeah.
Here you're rolling d8s and pumping them with d6s.
and also like it's going to be a random energy type, and some of those aren't like forcing psychic. Barely
Yeah,
anything is
those are good.
resistant to it. Of course, you could also hit them with something they're immune to, but it's a good spell. Guiding Hand's another one. That one's just kind of weird. I wasn't impressed with that one.
It just points you to where you're trying to go. It's
A map.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You don't have to have the map. That's the thing, right? I did read it correctly. You don't have to have the map. It just has to. The map has to exist, and someone had to have mapped it at some
Someone
time.
has to have mapped it, and you have to have been there before.
At any time. No, not you had to have been there before.
It might be or. Someone in history must have visited the site and mapped
Some guy 4,000 years ago could have mapped out some ancient treasure hoard, and as long as the map isn't crumpled in the dust, your spell will work.
Yep, that's pretty handy.
Yeah, that's a little better than I thought. And it's a ritual, and a first level spell. So as long as someone has mapped it, you can basically be like, I know where this is kind of cool for like how many times has there been adventures or something where like the treasure map gets stolen or something? You're like, as long as there's a map, I don't really need it.
So Relian's gonna have this in his book.
Yeah.
We're jumping around a little bit. We're not gonna go through, I think, spell by spell. Like one of the ones we either like or have a problem with. Now, healing elixir, there's there's a mixture of feelings on this one, and I think I'm outnumbered. But I'm like, it's kind of bullshit that the wizard is getting healing magic. I just don't like it. I like it being the purview of druids and clerics.
I'm usually the proponent, and the Thurgy wizard, I am against having him have cure wounds to be able to put into his spell book. But in this situation, I have to say he's using magic and alchemical supplies to make a healing potion that he then hands out that has a duration of only 24 hours. I'm cool with this.
And
so
healing potion's going to come from someplace, right?
Yeah, from a cleric.
Well, then they should have probably given the cleric something.
No, F that guy. Apparently. So I want to just call this one out because I can think of funny uses for it.
Infestation.
Only because it's like, I give you the crabs. Because basically you give them, mites, fleas, other parasites, totally fits. Constitution save or they take a die 6 piercing damage. And then, of course, it's a cantrip, so it can go up to 4 die 6. But there's more. If the target takes any of that damage, the target moves 5 feet in a random direction.
Like a grenade.
Yeah, cool. Pretty much. Yeah, we're like, oh my god, and it's just so bad.
It's like, get him off me, get him off me.
I find that aspect of it amusing. I do find it's funny. Technically, as a component, you need a living flea to make it work. So I find that kind of silly.
But I always keep those in my spell component pouch, or a focus.
Or a focus, and that's always
Yeah,
always great.
you need to miniaturize a rat, and then put it in a jar.
But I look at
give them rats.
No, the fleas have to live on something. Otherwise, you're gonna be like infestation. Why isn't it working?
My fleas are dead.
Oh, my flea is dead.
But I find it's like amusing that you could use this on your monstrous humanoids that actually have fur.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, you can use it on anybody, but
right. But I think it's more amusing if you use it on, say, a tabaxi.
No, I know.
I know.
Makes sense.
Just starts.
So, here's one that I think is fun, but at the same time, I don't think it's useful. Primal Savagery is a cool cantrip that goes, oh, I can attack someone next to me for a die 10 because I grow fangs or claws, and I scratch out their eyes or whatever. If you're a Circle of the Land Druid, you're like a wizard or a sorcerer. You don't want to be standing next to them. So that wouldn't be like my go-to spell. Now, if I happen to be a Circle of the Moon, I don't get as many cantrips anyway, and I would rather just turn into some kind of beast and tear their face off anyway.
But what happens if you've been knocked out of your wild shape? De-beasted, if you will, and the combat's still going on. You've got
wild shape again.
What if you're out of wild shapes?
Then I take a short rest. Hold on, wait. There's more.
The question is, at 17th level, when you hit somebody, do you do 4d10 damage?
You do. You really do. You bite their face hard.
Yeah, so, I mean, like with this wild shape thing, I mean, if you turn into a T-Rex or something. Well, wait, no, if you circle the land. I mean, I could see it, like, instead of blasting someone gets in your face, you'd be like, I rip that face off and move on.
So I actually really like it. I think it's definitely a great spell.
question is, how do you guys feel about it? So it is a cool spell. I'm totally with you guys there. So, and jumping around a little bit here, Snare is an awesome ranger spell.
It's one of my favorite from this list.
You basically just set a trap.
Okay, so this spell is ridiculous because there is... Okay, you need 30 foot of rope that is used by the spell. All right, there is a limitation there.
Hemp rope, cheap rope. Cheapest rope around.
But there is nothing that limits. There's no concentration. There's no limit to the number of spells that you can have active at any point in time, short of, well, I only have so many first level spells. This isn't something that gets pumped up, but, like, all right, if you have an area that you tend to, let's say, use the word haunt, that you're in all the time, every day that you're out there, they're like, all right, well, I'm going to keep this area defended. Well, I'm going to throw out another snare. I'm going to throw out another snare.
Or you're going to bed for the night. You're like,
right.
You throw down a snare. Now, I will say it's a minute casting time, so you're not doing it in combat.
Correct.
That's the one bummer about it. But it is, I found out also cord, so it can be like a lighter material. It doesn't have to be...
Yeah, quarter rope, whatever.
Yeah.
So
it's 30 feet at a time.
So you buy 100...
I'm thinking about the gold pieces just disappearing.
All right, so you buy 100 foot of hemp rope. That's rope that's been twisted together. So you turn that into 3 sections of cord,
and then cut them in half. Cut them up.
Cut them into thirds.
Yeah.
So 100 foot of rope gives you 9.
There you go. 9 right there.
You're good for weeks.
Not bad.
Days. So another one, Sudden Awakening from Bard. Or this is kind of like a Bard and Wizard one, I think. It's a bonus action to cast, range 10 feet. Anybody within 10 feet of you, you wake them up. They don't have to expend any of their movement to get to their feet.
Yeah. So
it's flavorful. It's fun. I don't really see anybody taking it.
So, all right. So I see this as the fact that it's a bonus action to cast. If you're on watch and you happen to be, all right, I'm aware that there's a problem. I cast this spell. Everybody wakes up. I then still have my action and my movement to go do something useful. I can make a ranged attack, or I can move into melee.
Yeah, I'm not disputing its usefulness. What I'm saying is no one's going to expend resources to have this on their list, because there's more useful and better things. This is very situational, and you're not going to use it that much.
I think the fact that we run the kind of game that we do, I am certain out there that there are people who are like, I want this spell. I'm really happy that that's available.
As a DM, I'm glad it exists.
We have a place where they can where they can debate that. Again, I like it. Don't think it's going to see much use in our game. I would never waste a slot on that. There's so much cooler things. Toll the Dead. Come on, dude. Which is another one. Wisdom save, or you take a die 8 damage. Necrotic, unless they happen to be already injured, then they're taking a die 12.
And it's pumpable. So
it's
not pumpable. It's a cantrip.
It's a cantrip.
So as a cantrip, if they're already damaged, 4 die 12. That's pretty impressive.
That's not bad at all. I mean, it's basically it becomes the same as the poison spray. Poison spray, yeah.
But it's got a distance of 60 feet. I think the poison spray is a little closer.
Poison spray is close, yeah.
So Virtue's another one. It's kind of interesting. It's a cantrip. Temporary hit points, die 4 plus your spellcasting level. Not bad, but it only lasts a round. So it's going to be hard to time it so it's useful.
So my weird thing about this one is most of the times the cantrips they level with you. This doesn't. It's only valid for a round, and it's really only good for a single hit.
This is something that you got to let the player switch out by the time they're 5th level, I think. It's like one of those things. It's just good for when you're getting attacked by goblins and they're doing 1 to 7 damage or something like that.
Can you prepare an action to cast it on the warrior before he gets hit?
Yeah.
So I don't feel that this one it's an action to cast. Why on earth would I give you? Let's just say
I know it's not super useful Awaken.
Sudden Awake. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Now, it is a cantrip. I understand the idea of you don't want somebody sticking a whole bunch of these on one person and being like, you have 50 extra hit points, go.
But they're temporary hit points, so temporary hit points don't stack.
Yeah, they don't.
Oh, well then the rule's already there. They should just make it last a minute.
So it should last a minute. It should be pumpable. So as it goes up, so should the temporary hit points.
You know what an issue is with it is isn't aid only just slightly better?
but it lasts 8 hours.
Yeah, 8 is not.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
8 is a lot better, and
you
it
know.
is pumpable. Like, there's a lot going on with that.
Points wise, it's only slightly better than that, right?
So at the end of the day, it's a cantrip. They wanted
Yeah.
to give you something that gives you a little bit of boost, and it probably is not going to see a lot of love. In the
Yeah,
game.
with low abusability, I think.
Here's a ritual spell that Ted seemed to really like when we were discussing things before, and that's Wild Cunning.
Absolutely, it's your druid and rangers, preparedness type of situation. You've got the ability to, if there's tracks, you can find them. If there's something out there you can eat, you can find it. If there's water out there you can drink, you can find it. If there's firewood, shelter, you can go get it. Actually, the firewood gets brought back to you. And lastly, you can have this thing packed out camp for you.
Although some of those benefits are literally just like, I could have just been an Outlander.
Well,
I just gather food and water as I go.
This is a save your butt spell when you're like a druid or an outlander or a ranger, and you're like, oh man, I can't find anything. All right, come on, I can't be an embarrassment. I'm just gonna cast this spell. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know the difference. I'm just awesome. No one's gonna know the difference.
And that being said, it's also a ritual. So I believe druids are ritual casters. If not both, at least Circle of the Land are. So you could easily, just have it, and you're druid. You still have to memorize it.
You still have to prepare it.
You still have to prepare it, so still it's going to take a resource. So it's another one that's kind of cool, but like, are you going to really bother with it?
So this is one that totally is going to be all right. Aurelian's looking for this in a scroll form to add to his book.
If I could have this spell as my nature cleric, I would absolutely have it. It's like Servants in the Woods. Plus, you look good in front of your friends. I mean, it's just perfect for him.
I love this. Like, send spirits to bring back firewood. Have spirits instantly break down your campsite. Like, this is amazing for my cleric, and he's got all the ritual spells now, so access to.
We're just about done. We have one left, and this is a ranger spell, and that is Zephyr Strike. Casting time bonus action, nice, lasts a minute, and you move like the wind for the duration. Your movement doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. That's pretty good for basically a combat. You can just move wherever you want to. No one's taking an attack of opportunity.
But that's not it.
Yeah, when you first cast it, 30-foot movement. So, like, if you need to get out of dodge, you can. Like, even if you don't decide to concentrate on this spell, it's going to be useful and really good for you.
But that's still not it. In addition, the first time you make a weapon attack on your turn before the spell ends, you make the attack roll with advantage.
Yes, there's that too.
So it's really to say I get cast before Hunter's Mark is what the spell could be called.
Yeah.
But you both of them are concentration, so therefore you can't have Zephyr Strike.
Right. Nate. But Nate's saying you use it for one round, and then you move on to your bread and butter.
Switch right on. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So all in all, 5 pages, 17 spells. A lot of them are really great. Some of them could be hit or miss. Let us know what you guys think down below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can also jump down the description for the link to Armor Class 10, our new awesome sponsor, so you can get way cool gaming shirts like the ones we're wearing.
You can also check us out over on Nerdarchy.com.
So until next time, stay nerdy.